What is up, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters? Welcome back to Chalk Talk, presented to you by Deal With It Productions. I'm Preston Deal, and yes, you heard that right. I control everything in that statement because we all know that betting on yourself is the surefire way to give maximum effort and take no days off. Betting on yourself, betting on sports, gambling at the casino, betting on life in general. Life is full of risks. Risks versus rewards, rewards that pay off by doing things in a dramatic fashion. We are talking betting today. I promised on Friday that once the March Madness bracket and everything was set up, we would be talking about the betting and the gambling odds that go along with sports betting, and more importantly, college basketball, which kicks off tomorrow. The first four in. So 2 games tomorrow, 2 games Wednesday, March 20th, round 1 of the 64 team bracket playoff for March Madness. 99.9% of the time, my wife and I are in Las Vegas for the start of March Madness through March Madness. We usually come home before the championship kind of wraps up. Probably, I would say around Final Four, we come home from Las Vegas. We bet all day, every day. We sit in the sports book consistently throughout March Madness and the chaos of it. It's absolutely our favorite time of the year to bet on sports. It's one of the easiest to understand in terms of how you gain the points and the traction in the betting spectrum. A lot of other sports are really complicated to bet on. There's a lot more things going on. March Madness is probably the easiest to understand, the easiest to make money. It's also the easiest to get addicted to and lose money. Trust me, been there, done that. But for right now, the setup is unbelievable. I would say that the field of March Madness has kind of shifted. And for this year, and unlike years before, and yes, years before, we see Cinderella stories. We see these teams that go on a run that are the underdogs of the 16th seed, the 11th seed. They're making their way to the Elite Eight, maybe even the Final Four. We never see them get over that hump. We haven't really seen a Cinderella story win the championship. It's always teams that you kind of expect to be in that tournament, in that Final Four, making that push for the championship. This year, there's a lot of good teams that are seeded relatively lower that I think are going to make a splash and a splash impact. A lot of those top-tier teams have had some injuries. A lot of those top-tier teams have had some losses throughout the season that are kind of shocking, which makes this a bettor's paradise. Now, if any of you that are watching this have seen the Diehl'ERS Choice page that we've done with Deal With It Productions, you know that we are degenerate gamblers. We love to gamble. We bet within our means. We stay within our means. We win within our means, and we keep it pushing. We have gambling page dedicated to slot machines, table games, even sports bets. So if you're looking for something like that, if you're interested in something along those lines, I know the trend and the hot topics right now is the gambling, the tricks of the trade, the dragon links, the slot machines. Diehl'ERS Choice on YouTube, on Instagram. I'll put all that information right here in the video. You can go check those out. That's my wife. She handles all of that. She's in charge of the casino gambling type of life interactions. I stick to sports. That's what I do. We designed Chalk Talk to be a sports show with a heavy main focus. I'd say like 90% on football. But this time of the year, it's hard not to talk about the other sports that are absolutely killing it in the statistical game as far as ratings, as far as action, as far as betting. March Madness, NHL, and even golf. So hockey, basketball, golf. Today, Rory McIlroy is taking on J.J. Spaun in a playoff. So they already played 4 rounds of the Players Tournament. They're tied at 12 under. They are probably in the midst, or by the time you see this, the round will be over. If golf keeps this trajectory of competition, of these players playing at their best, where now we're getting playoffs on a Sunday, we're getting a playoff on a Monday, golf is in a very, very good position. And there's more characters in the PGA and on LIV than I have ever seen in the sport of golf. I've never been somebody that likes golf prior to about 4 or 5 years ago. I got into it. I got into watching it, got into playing it, got into betting on it. It is one of the most exhilarating sports because of how slow of a pace it is. That if you are betting on a guy to finish in the top 5 or the top 10, you have to sit there for hours. And not only hours, you're watching for days, 4 days, and now even today, 5 days. If you have money on Spawn or McElroy to win, you have waited 5 full days to see these guys go up and down, and it has taken what feels like decades. Where if you bet on football, if you bet on baseball, if you any other sport really, you find out that day if you're winning or if you're losing, unless you're doing some kind of future crazy, Heisman MVP type of bet. But golf is in a really good spot. Hockey's in a really good spot. The NHL is killing it. If you turn on any NHL game, the stadium is sold out. The teams are playing. They're being competitive. There's a fight on almost every single night in every single game in every single arena. The tensions have been flaring, and the play is out of this world. Now, we are taking the show on the road. A week from yesterday, so March 23rd, we will be at the Anaheim Ducks game. Statistically speaking, I think that they have been officially eliminated from the playoff run. Don't quote me on that. I'm not really sure how the points are set up at this moment for them. I know that they struggled to kind of make that last push. Playoffs are a month away for the NHL. We will be at the Anaheim Ducks game, doing our show, doing a bunch of fun stuff, March 23rd. That's this coming up Sunday. If you're looking for a night out with the boys, if you're looking for a date night and you both love sports, if you're looking for a sporting event and you've never been to a hockey game, Anaheim Ducks take on the Carolina Hurricanes. It will be a great game. Tickets are not that expensive. Head over to SeatGeek. Check that out. Get yourself a ticket. Get in there and watch what happens. It's absolutely madness. And if you happen to see us, happen to see me, come. I would love to get you guys on the show. Love to get your predictions, your take on things. And if you're a real hockey fan and you know a lot of information, love to get your expertise. So that's happening a week from yesterday. So 6 days away, we will be at the Anaheim Ducks game, Chalk Talk on the road. March Madness kicking off tomorrow. Now, I have some notes because we are going to go over my bracket. I only did one. I know everybody does like 20 to 30 brackets. You want to figure out, how close can I get to being right? Your bracket goes absolutely down the drain. It tanks day one. Everybody's bracket has the same problem because there's some unknown team that makes a dramatic move that we were never expecting, and the bettors that bet on those teams are super happy that their bracket got destroyed because their bank account is capitalizing. Now I got the San Diego State Aztec shirt on. I would have wore just the shirt, but it's absolutely freezing in our studio right now. So I got the jacket on, but I'm pulling for SDSU all the way. They play tomorrow. They're taking on North Carolina. It's going to be a clash of titans. Maybe. I mean, you never know with March Madness. I mean, UNC could come out and hang up, 25 points, win by 25 on them, hang up 80, 85 and blow them out of the water. Could be a close game. San Diego State plays great defense. I'm excited for that. The first four that are kicking off, Texas and Xavier, which happens on Wednesday, SDSU and UNC tomorrow. Those are the two highlight games. I think that whoever wins out of those two games really has a chance to actually make a push into the bracket, kind of be that Cinderella story, even though they are top tier schools. The SEC this year for basketball is unmatched. I think overall I have 2, maybe even 3. I'll have to double check. SEC schools making the Final Four. I think we could see 4 SEC schools just running the tables. There's maybe 4 or 5 that are really, really good. My sleeper team, I have going to the Final Four. I know that for sure. We will get into all of that. I want to talk about the bets. I want to put up what my best bets are for right now. And here's what I'm going to say before I do any of this. Sports betting is a game within a game. you have to understand the nuances of what you're looking at. Analytics are a huge deal when it comes to betting with your mind and not your heart. It's really easy to lead with your heart because you like a team, you like a player, you like the skill set that you see, but it might not be the bet that makes sense financially. Also, bet within your means. I tend to bet between $5 and $10. I always parlay everything. I don't bet $50 to $100 at a time. If I was going to do that, I'd bet on a single game because you only have to have one thing go right in a single game and then you win your money. It's instantaneous. With a parlay, you have 4, 5, 6, sometimes 8 to 10 different things that have to go right consecutively in order to make the money. Now, the payouts are a lot larger because the odds are stacked against you. But if you can hit on those parlays, you're in a good spot. That's why I stick to about the $5 or $10 range. I know a lot of people that bet $100, $500, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 on these parlays, and they go all crazy, and everybody loves their videos, and they become viral for doing it. But there's a huge risk that comes with anything that has to do with betting. Even if you're betting $1, make sure that you can afford to lose that $1 because you are more likely to lose than to win. And if you guys happen to follow what I'm doing or track what I'm doing or mimic the structure of betting that I'm putting forward and happen to lose, please don't blame me. I'm losing right there with you. And also, since I am in the state of California, all of you sports bettors in the state of California know this. We are not permitted to use the online gambling platforms like ESPN Bet, DraftKings, all these different ones, which kind of sucks. So I will be going to Vegas, putting those in, coming back to California. But I will be putting in this video using the ESPN Bet so you can kind of see the numbers and what I'm looking at. But I will not be putting those in with the app because obviously I'm not able to do so. But let's get into it. March Madness 2025, it's going to be electric. Basketball is in a very good spot. College basketball is in a very good spot. Shout out to let me make sure I get this number correct. 25 out of the 64 teams that are in March Madness are the same school for the men and women's. So what that means is 25 schools have their men's and their women's basketball program represented in March Madness in the tournament. That makes up almost half the field. To have a team or a school or anything that can be recognized on a level of either men or women's sports is phenomenal. But to do it in both is absolutely incredible. I can't wait to see how that parallels together if these schools' basketball programs end up making it to the Elite Eight, the Final Four, the championship. What if the same school wins in men and women? That would be absolutely incredible. Those are things to keep an eye on. Those are bets that are always fun to throw a little bit of money on just as long shots that you forget about. Look back at the end of March Madness and be like, oh yeah, we won. But let's get into my bracket. I'm going to talk about my bracket. Then we'll talk about the best bets, what I'm looking at, and where we go from there. And then we will wrap everything up with something kind of cool at the end. So for the first and foremost, I'm going to put up my bracket right here. For some reason, if you guys are using the app to do the brackets, like the little ESPN app, when you go to enlarge the app and you go to show it, like how I'm going to show it on here, it doesn't show you the first round. It only shows you starting at 32. So here's my South bracket at the round of 32. Let's go back actually. We're going to reverse this a little bit. I'll go ahead and put up the whole 62 thing. We'll cycle through it, and we'll go through the South first. I like Auburn coming out of the South. Auburn is one of those SEC schools. They're a dominant school. They have the ability to score points. They're physical. They play defense. This team has been on a roll. I've heard multiple people talk about how they think Auburn and Florida are kind of the number 1 and number 2 schools. Obviously, you have your Dukes and all these other things, but from the SEC, these physical teams that can score points. Auburn, I think, is going to come out of the South. I think they're going to run the tables. I'm not sure if the games will even be close. Towards the end, they might get a little more competitive, that Elite Eight, Final Four type of deal. But the South is in a decent position. Games to highlight, to keep an eye on, especially for betting purposes, is going to be Louisville and Creighton. I think Louisville beats Creighton. I really do. I think Louisville money line is a great pick. Creighton is one of those teams that can get on a roll, and the sports books tend to favor teams like Creighton because of their ability to score points and to blow teams out of the water when given that chance. I think round one, I think Louisville is a very, very good team. They're fundamental, and they're going to come out and they're going to make a statement. Moving on from there, though, you have a rough road down. They win, they go and play Auburn. It's going to be a tough trajectory for Louisville, but getting that first win might give them the confidence to be competitive, and the bets tend to favor teams like Creighton. So watch for that line to kind of change as March Madness, as the 20th and 21st, as those days start to approach. Keep an eye out for those changes. Another one to watch out for, which is my favorite bet of March Madness right now, UC San Diego. And yes, I'm a UC guy, but UC San Diego over Michigan. They are slight underdogs, like slight. I think right now the line's at plus 2.5 points for UC San Diego. If you like the points, 2.5 is kind of low, especially in a basketball game. 1 3-pointer and you're cooked, especially if the game's tied and Michigan hits a 3-pointer to win the game. But I'm doubling down on UC San Diego here. I am betting on them to beat Michigan flat out on the money line. They could easily be one of those Cinderella stories out of the South where we see a team shock the nation, make it to that, to the 16, to the 8, to the 4 even, where we're like, what in the world happened? And this is a team that you could potentially make some money on over that run. Now, they also could come into the Michigan game and get blown out by 25. They have that ability too. So keep that in mind. But if you want a team that's kind of that team, that underdog team, the team that nobody's really looking at, that can kind of sneak their way into a win and win you some money, my bet, UC San Diego. That's a team definitely to watch out for in the South. Let's move to the West. And the West has who I think is the best team in the bracket, who I think will win the whole tournament, the University of Florida. I think they have overall the best team. I think they have the best shot at winning the championship, and I think that they are going to prove a lot throughout this tournament about the style of basketball that they are playing. Out of the West, I don't know if I said South. Did I say South? I'm not sure, but we are on to the West. I'm trying to read what I wrote. I can't wear my glasses because of the reflections. You guys got to just bear with me through this process. Out of the West, I think Florida is the best. Now, there's a lot of games to highlight in the West. I think the West has an easy road for sports bettors to parlay a bunch of bets and make a good amount of money round one right away. Games like UConn, Oklahoma, and we talk about the SEC. Oklahoma is playing teams that you would never think that they could compete with in football and basketball, in any sport, because they've gone to the SEC and all their basketball team has done is be competitive and win games, and it's put them in a position to face a UConn team that is going for their third straight, which three-peats are out of control. But they've had a little bit of a slope, a downslope. You got to catch them now. If you let UConn get on a run, they could sweep this whole tournament again, make it to the finals, bring home another championship, and you have Dan Hurley sitting there saying, I told you we were better than you. You have to take them out early, and this is a shot to really hit home on UConn. I think UConn is slightly the better team. They're favored in all the sports books as of right now. It's easy to take Oklahoma, I think, with the points, or even with I think going on the over. Is that what I wrote down? Right now I got Oklahoma plus 4.5. That's what I'm going with. I think the over is not a bad option if it sits around that 142 mark. This is a game to watch. This is a game to to parlay, not, and like I said, I don't bet individual games. I always parlay everything together. This is one that I'm parlaying together with like a UC San Diego, where this is how my mind works. If I have a 4-leg parlay and only one loses, I'm very upset. If I have a 4-leg parlay and 3 out of those 4 don't hit, then it wasn't meant to be, because I tend to rope in a lot of the underdogs, a lot of the people that aren't supposed to win together, so that I have a more of a chance of losing multiple games. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody out there. That's just how my brain works when it comes to betting. So Oklahoma, UConn, that's a game to watch. That's a game to take a look at when you're trying to make a decision of what games to rope in, what games to parlay, what games should I be betting on. Oklahoma, UConn, that's a very good one out of the West to put money on, especially if you like this Oklahoma team. And maybe you're having hesitations on putting money on them. I say do it. I'm doing it. The other game to watch out for coming out of the West is Grand Canyon University, GCU, versus Maryland. And now look, I always talk about bet with your head, not your heart. This one I'm betting with my heart. I'm going against my rules of practice. My brother goes to GCU. He's over there killing it. He's mastering his craft at everything he does. The guy is going to be an absolute legend in this world. So I'm tailored to believe in Grand Canyon. I was tailored to believe in them last year during March Madness. We won a boatload of money. I'm not even going to lie to you guys. Round 1, when they did win, they pulled it out. We had a celebration. It was a great time. I'm going to ride the wave. I'm going to play that magic hand one more time. Maryland is a good team, and they are tough, and that is going to be a brutal game. I like the 10.5 for Grand Canyon, plus 10.5. I would go money line. That is the shocker statement to make if you're going to bet it. I don't know if they can get over the Maryland hump. I don't know if they're going to make that dramatic winning push like they did last year and have these grand moments, but I do think that they keep it competitive, and I think that they stay within that 10.5, and you can still win good money and still get a good line on that bet if that's something that you're looking for. It's a little safer too, because if you don't believe Grand Canyon can win, but you think that they can be competitive, or you like their competitive edge, or you're looking for that Cinderella-esque story that pushes a team to the limit, I think that's one of them. The last one out of the West, which has been catching my attention ever since last night. I've kept going back to it. Haven't put in any bets until right before this show. I put one in with them. Is Drake versus Missouri. And I know a lot of people are going to take Drake on the points, or they're going to take Missouri minus the points, or Missouri to win. Missouri's the favorite right now. And it's, again, another SEC school, another powerhouse basketball team that's coming out of this conference that's just dominating everybody. But I think that there's something there with this Drake team. I've heard a couple people mention some rumblings about this Drake team being the Cinderella story, that they could easily be the underdogs, that people are not taking them seriously. I'm starting to take them seriously. I'm starting to look at this team like, you know what? I think that there's a potential that we could see them win. We could see them win. We can also see them get destroyed. So that's kind of the theme with these bets this year is I'm wagering money on teams that I think have a real shot to win or keep it competitive. And if they get blown out, I already know going in that that's a huge possibility. But I would love to watch Drake beat Missouri, especially because the line is probably right now, the money line is too good to pass up, especially if you're throwing it into a parlay. That's a game to watch out of the West. Keep your eye out on those lines. Check other sports books. Look around. See the best lines you can get. If you can get Drake with a good amount of points, take the points. If you like them like I do, I'm going on the money line. Moving to the East, my underdog, my Cinderella story. And I've said Cinderella story a couple times all for people that are just trying to get into March Madness, try to figure out what to bet. You're just looking for somebody to tell you the best bets to do, because I've done that in the past. Cinderella story is simply the lower seeded teams, the unknown teams making a run and winning, making a push, not just winning once, but winning it multiple times and proving why they are the best team. I think Oakland last year was the team that kind of shocked everybody. I put money on them after the first round, ended up making some money. Bet on them the game that they lost, ended up losing money. So your Cinderella story can die at a certain point. Got to catch that train before it starts. Ride that train while you can. Jump off before it crashes into a building. I don't know if trains hit buildings. Yeah, whatever. East. Moving on to the East. My Cinderella team is BYU. Those Mormon freak boys up there, those guys are going to go off. These guys are a Cinderella story in the making. BYU has a very, very, very good, sound athletic program. They're always just really good at sports, right? They're always right there in the conversation. Are they winning championships? Are they the top echelon of college sports? No, not necessarily. But they are there and they are competitive, and they make every single game and every single sport that they play interesting. The way that they play basketball could easily put them into the Final Four. I have them in the Final Four. I would love to see them in the finals. I would love to see a Cinderella story finally make the push, keep their composure, and go all the way. Will they win the tournament or even make it to the Final Four? I have no idea. But I am betting on them to do it. I am all on board with this BYU team. They're taking on VCU, who also could also be that Cinderella story. I'm trying to think about the line that came out because I don't have it in front of me, but I know it's tight and it's going to be a fantastic game. It might be the best game of the first round, hands down. I'm going BYU straight money line. I have them winning the East. I have them making a push. I think I even have them, if I'm not mistaken, in the finals, which I could be wrong about that. It will pop up here somewhere. Games to watch in the East, ones to also consider betting on. There's not too many. Really not that many great games, period. But Mississippi State, Baylor. I think sticking with the SEC trend, I like Mississippi State. I like Mississippi State on the money line. I also, if Baylor's getting plus a couple, I think that I've seen some sports books that are giving plus points to Baylor. I've seen some that are giving plus to Mississippi State, which means that they are even keeled. I like Mississippi State if you're looking for a quick parlay, something to rope into something. If you need another back end bet to throw, if you have a 4-leg, you need a fifth one. You have a fifth leg, you want a sixth. Maybe you only have a 3, you need a 4. Mississippi State Baylor is going to probably give you those best chances to whoever comes out as the favorite closer to that day. I'm probably going to roll on the favorite, but right now I like Mississippi State. I like BYU a lot out of the East. I don't think the East has a lot of competition. I know that they have Duke. Duke, I don't know, has that potential to be the Duke of the past. They're dealing with a few injuries. Oregon's okay. I think a lot of people have Oregon higher on their skill level than I do. I haven't watched a lot of Oregon basketball this year, so I couldn't really speak on their skill level. But after watching and doing some research, BYU definitely my winner out of the East. I think they have the potential to blow the doors off of this tournament. Last but not least, the Midwest. And at the end of this, I'm going to go over my strategy on how I come up with these over-unders, how I come up with the point differentials. I'm going to kind of give you guys a little insight on how these sports books tend to look at things and let you kind of gauge your opinions based on what you think. A lot of it has to do with what you're seeing on the court. First round is a bunch of question marks. Second round and beyond, so round of 32 on, you will have a good idea of where the talent lies, where the injuries lie, where the strengths and weaknesses of all these teams fall. The Midwest. The Midwest has a sneaky underlining story. Texas Xavier play on Wednesday. Tomorrow. Wednesday. They play on Wednesday. The winner of that game will take on Illinois. Illinois is a very good team. Really good at the start of the year. Got hurt, lost a bunch of dudes, came back, got really good again. This team is on a hot streak. If Texas or Xavier wins and goes and plays Illinois and beats Illinois, we're looking at a team that can easily make a run and push Houston for its money out of that Midwest section, because I have Houston taking it as of right now. But there's easily a world where Illinois or whoever beats Illinois takes this championship or takes this Midwest title and goes to the Final Four and really pushes for a title. I think Houston, I think Illinois, and I think potentially Texas or Xavier, if they beat Illinois, have a real chance to be one of those teams that we're having a conversation about a couple weeks from now. Like, whoa, this team came out of nowhere, similar to like the San Diego State UNC. First four in, they play. Then they go on this run, this so-called Cinderella story, even though a lot of those teams are better than I think people give them credit for. Illinois, Texas, Illinois, Xavier, that's a bet to watch out for, especially if one of those teams comes in and they are getting a dramatic number of points. Like if Texas is getting like 6 to 8 points or Xavier is getting 6 to 8 points, like a +6 or +8 against Illinois, that might be a perfect matchup, a perfect bet to throw your money on that you can easily get quick turnover on. And there's nothing wrong with throwing $5 down to win 40. You can never go broke taking a profit. That's something I learned playing slots and doing the Diehl'ERS Choice page when we got involved with the slot machines and the gambling type of influencing an environment. A lot of people are happy betting $100 into a slot machine, walking away with $200 out of the slot machine and calling it a day. They're happy leaving with $50, $60. So you can never go broke taking a profit. If you bet $5, you win $50, you pocket $40, bet another $10. That's how you start to build your bankroll. Bankroll is so important when it comes to sports betting, because if you're on a consistent losing streak, you start to doubt yourself. You start to try to make up for the losses that you have already lost. If you've lost $100, now you're looking for a bet that gives you that $150, $200 to maximize what you've lost. I went on a streak for a while when I first started betting a couple years ago. That was, I think, 3 or 4 months of just straight turmoil during football season. I don't bet on football teams during games anymore. Football is one of those sports that I do player props. I think it's easier to understand player props and what could or potentially happen with a player in college or the NFL. Basketball, college basketball, March Madness, that's where we start betting on teams. I stay away from the players on March Madness in college because I don't really know them like I know the football, so it kind of balances itself out. But a couple years ago, went on a complete losing streak, was trying to catch up on the losses, ended up going to Vegas for March Madness, started putting my method, my routine, my analytical side of things, my brain into March Madness, ended up making more money than we lost during the football season, kind of just carried over from there. So that's a brief story on how we got to this point. If you like what I'm saying, if you like the tips and the tricks, if you agree with it, if you disagree with it, by all means, feel free to share all that. All information is good information. I think all knowledge is valuable. All criticism or praise is always duly accepted from us here. It helps us get better, helps us learn, helps us continue to adapt to change these videos in the course of what we are or what we're looking for. So Houston is my pick. Back to what matters the most, betting and March Madness. Houston's my pick to come out of the Midwest. I think the Gonzaga-Georgia game is going to be out of control. It's one of those ones where betting kind of seems up in the air. It's one of those games that's just ultra exciting. Gonzaga, we know Gonzaga. They have been Gonzaga, I don't know. how people phrase it, or what the real term or what to say about them is, but they are through and through a basketball school, through and through a very good basketball school. Probably one of the better teams in this entire matchups, and it's exciting because I think I have the Gonzaga written down here. I think so. My prediction for that game is somewhere between 75 to 78. That's going to be the points that is hovering over there for Gonzaga, whatever. And then Georgia kind of, I think, can match what they're going to do. I'm staying away from that one in the betting sphere of things. As far as trying to figure out who's going to win. These ones where I'm up in the air, where 1 minute I think Gonzaga can win, 1 minute I think Georgia can win, next minute I think it could be a tie, next minute I think it's going to go to overtime, next minute I think it's going to be a blowout. I tend to stay away from those games from a betting perspective. Having a lack of confidence, I would say, in what you think you're betting on opens the door for anxiety, losing money. It opens the door for a bunch of terrible things when it comes to sports betting. Focus on what the key aspects of what you know are. It's easy to throw $100 on all 32 of the favorites. It's harder to understand how to make money consistently throughout the tournament and throughout the bracket. And as we know in March Madness, the favorites don't always win. So with that being said, let's get into my bets. Here are my bets for round one, March Madness tournament. My first four games. So tomorrow and Wednesday, I'm putting in a bet. I'm putting in $5. Like I said, I would do $5 to $10 max on these parlays. The first four I'm going with St. Francis. I'm going with SDSU plus the points. I'm going with an American University. And let me be, I've never even heard of this school before. I did a little bit of research on them. I like them in this matchup. I'm going American University on the money line to win. I'm going Texas money line to win. Now, the odds are plus 1,763. My eyes are bad, so I'm trying to figure this out. 1,763. So if you bet $20, you have a payout of $372. Like I said, I bet between $5 and $10. Probably going to stick to that $5 range with the first four. So that parlay, you'll see it right here. I'm going St. Francis money line, SDSU plus the points, American University, I guess that's who they are. Money line, Texas money line. That's my first four. I always bet on the first four in. I think it's fun. I think it's unique. It's something that gives us something to watch tomorrow and Wednesday to kind of build up this anticipation to March Madness. The next bet, my best bet, what I'm doing for sure, what I'm doing is Louisville money line, BYU money line, Arkansas plus 4.5. I think they keep it competitive. I think they might even win. It's going to be a tough matchup. It's going to be a crazy game. I think that there is just enough to keep them within that 4.5. I'm going Drake, and I'm going to take Drake with the plus 6.5. I think Drake could come out and win the game on the money line. I'm going to play it safe just for purposes of this video and just for the overall sake of what we're trying to do with kind of showing betting and how we do things. I'm going to go Drake plus 6.5. UC San Diego on the money line. We are going all in, doubling down, tripling down. UC San Diego on the money line to get a big win over Michigan. Grand Canyon plus 10.5. I think they keep it competitive. I don't think that they lose by more than 8. $5 would win us about 200. $10 would win us just over 400. I'm looking to do something along those lines. I might even add something to that. But right now, that is my best bet right now for March Madness. If you want to get that in before lines change, before favorites and odds start to switch, before anybody gives injury updates on what's happening or what's not happening, Also, if you wanted to look at like a 5 leg SEC parlay, because they are one of those top teams, I like Bama, I like Mississippi State, Auburn, Tennessee, and Kentucky. I think those teams have a track that best suits winning in the first round. Mississippi State is going to be that one that has the closest type of games and odds, but you can easily throw $5, make $40, $50 on a parlay, similar to if you're going to do something along those lines. Now, how I come up with all this, and this is a question that gets asked a lot, and not just to me and not just by me, but to all gamblers, all sports bettors. How do you know what you're looking at? How do you know what to trust? And how do you know what the best bet's going to be? Truth of the matter is, you don't. There is no physical way to possibly tell what is going to happen in a sports game, in any type of competition. You don't, whether it's, UFC and boxing, fighting in general, whether it's basketball, football, baseball, hockey, whether it's golf or tennis, racing, you never know exactly what's going to happen. All you can use is your knowledge and what you see and the analytical details. For March Madness, I tend to look at how many points does a team average versus how many points do they give up. I look at the same thing for the team that they're playing. So, for example, if we're looking at two teams, let's say, just hypothetically, we'll do San Diego State and UNC. I don't know if these numbers are true, but if San Diego State gives up, or if they score 80 points a game and they give up 70 points a game, UNC scores 70 points a game but gives up 80 points a game. Take the difference between those two, the offense and the defense, and you can kind of figure out what you think each team's going to score. Add those numbers up, you get your theoretical over-under. So if Vegas is giving you 141, but your math tells you that the score is going to be 146 or more, you bet the over. Bet over 141. If it's under what they're saying, you bet under. That is a very simple, elementary way to do it. And that's something that I've done for this will be my fourth year doing March Madness and doing the bets this way. I don't get wrapped up in the idea of players. The only time I get wrapped up in the idea of players is if a top scorer or a top defender for a team is injured and will be missing for that game. That factors in your points per game, and that factors in your defensive opportunities, I guess you can call them, per game. But the best way to do it simply, if you're just looking at doing your own research and figuring out for yourself, is take the average of the offense and the defensive scores for the teams that are playing against each other. So match, San Diego State's offense with UNC's defense, get your average. That's probably the points that San Diego State will score. Barring anything crazy, guys can go on runs, they can not go on runs, it can be dramatically different, but that gives you a good starting point to understand what is Vegas looking at, how are they judging the plus and minuses. If you come out saying, UNC is going to score 72, San Diego State's going to score 72, and San Diego State's getting 6.5, now you know that 6.5 is a great bet to lay your money, where the money line is kind of up in the air, more of a pick-up. That's how I look at it. That is how I've always gone about it since getting into March Madness. It has worked most of the time. I'm not going to say it works every time. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. Gambling will not make you rich overnight. It will make you broke before it gives you any type of riches or any type of insight on how things work or how it's done. I hear people all the time saying, well, they cook the slot machines, they cheat at the tables, they cook basketball games, they're missing shots on purpose, they're shaving points in football games. Like, yeah, it's possible. There is tampering, and there's possibility. Like, boxers take falls all the time in the 6th or the 8th or the 10th round in order to gain payouts and go against the bets, and that is a very real possibility when it comes to gambling. So be aware that there are things that are done behind the scenes that we don't know about that definitely factor into betting. But that's the fun of it. If you take it with a grain of salt, if you don't overwork yourself and get too invested, and you only bet money that you can afford to lose, I think you will see that you have a better chance at winning than you do at risking it all, going balls to the wall, betting the house, the car, the mortgage, all this stuff on one team because one person said that they were a lock to win. 99% of the time, if they're a lock to win, it's not as easy or as simple as 1, 2, 3. Let's throw in a bet and make $1,000,000. If that was the case, everybody would be doing it. But this is a time to be alive. This is sports at its peak. This is where everything kind of starts to come together. Football, the draft in April, the hockey playoffs kick off in April, March Madness starting now, going through April. We have the golf season now kicking off. This is a vortex of all the sports and greatness happening. It's a perfect time to start betting. If you need more information, if you're looking for more information or don't really understand still how these things work, there's no need to panic. There's always time. There's always sports. Every single day there's something to bet on. But with that being said, March Madness is kicking off. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody out there. I forgot to mention that at the start of this show. Awesome holiday, one of the coolest holidays that we got. If you're choosing to celebrate St. Patrick's Day today, have an absolute blast. Drink some green beer. Do it responsibly. Make sure that everything is in order with driving and arrangements before anybody goes out and does anything crazy. If you're choosing to celebrate low key or not celebrating, no big deal. Still have an amazing St. Patrick's Day. We got to take the wins where we can get them, especially in this day and age where things seem so negative and so disheartening. Holidays are a great way to lift the spirits and get everybody out there and engaged. And it's like sports. Sports is a great way to mend relationships, build friendships, connect with family members, with friends, with significant others. It's a great way to get to know your neighbors. It's a great way to go to any city and automatically be entrenched into a culture and gain friends automatically around the sport that is built into that city. Las Vegas is a great example. People go there to gamble, go on vacation. It is one of the most amazing cities on the planet. But if you're there and you're wearing like a Raiders gear, or if you're there wearing a Golden Knights, hockey gear, you instantly make friends. You instantly spark conversation. It builds you into a culture of just new identities, and it's a melting pot of endless possibilities. Anywhere you go, that sports are the focus of that community. Similar to holidays, I've seen videos of Chicago and Boston getting ready for St. Patrick's Day. You see it on Halloween, on Christmas, on Thanksgiving, every holiday out there. Keep uplifting each other. Say something nice to somebody. Help somebody out where you can. Be positive. The more positive we are, I feel like the better trajectory we are going as a nation, as a world, as a society, as a species. We are blessed to be here every single day. I am incredibly lucky to be here. For everybody at Chalk Talk and the Deal With It Productions, go check out Diehl'ERS Choice. That's part of the Deal With It Productions gambling page if you're interested in slot machines and more gambling style videos. I'm Preston Deal. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Leave any comments if you agree with these bets. If you don't, if you have any other bets, any sneaky underlying things or parlays that you guys are looking at, let me know. I would love to jump on any bandwagon train, whatever it is when it comes to betting. It doesn't just have to be March Madness. It could be hockey. It could be soccer. It could be anything that I'm missing. If you guys have some insight on different avenues for betting, please leave that below. I will definitely take it into consideration and most likely put those bets in. But enjoy the week. March Madness kicking off. I will be back Friday to do a show, and then Sunday, March 23rd, we will be at the Anaheim Ducks game. Get your tickets. There's cheap. It's not a very expensive day. It's an incredible experience if you've never been to a hockey game. If you're a hockey fan and you're looking for something to do, even if you don't like the Ducks or the Carolina Hurricanes, still go out there. It's still a great time. Don't have to like the teams to enjoy the sport and enjoy the day. So until Friday, have a magnificent week. Enjoy St. Patrick's Day. I will see you Friday and Sunday from Anaheim. Peace.